You heard it on B&E very, very late in their show. Very, very late in their show yesterday. I jumped on with those guys. I talked about Ethiel Horton, grad transfer from UCF, on campus for his official visit. Talked about, well, he's gonna take a visit to Kansas. This is my understanding. There will be no visit to Kansas. Ethiel Horton committed to Texas. Actually, truth be told, because I had my story raring and ready to go at Hornets 24/7, I was told he actually committed to Rodney Terry and Company last night, so it was just a matter of this going public. So Ethiel Horton is in the boat, Cam. They've got 11 scholarship players, and from the outset, when you look at what Texas, look at Max Asmus and Caden Shedrick were their top two priorities in the portal early on. They felt like regardless of whatever the roster looked like, and I've said this in terms of talking to sources, and RT mentioned it on the record, that those were the two guys they wanted above anything else. And then they made a couple of evaluations for some guys that they like for now, but especially down the road in Zarek Onyema and Kendall Weaver. They wanted a high school guy if the right guy popped up, and they waited and got that guy with Chris Johnson. But the other thing they wanted a guard who had some size and some length, and they wanted a shooter. Well, in Ethiel Horton, you get all of those things. And you get a guy that's got some toughness about him, some athleticism. We've seen him flash the ability to finish in traffic, prolific three-point shooter, about 38, I was almost at 87, but 37% career three-point shooter. But Cam, you mentioned it yesterday, this guy's over 80% career from the foul line. If you can just get him in situations where maybe he's attacking off the bounce a little bit more and is able to get in the flow of this Texas offense, now you're talking about a guy that, along with Tyrese Hunter and along with Max Asmus, and Caden Shedrick's like a high 60s, low 70s% free throw shooter. Now you're talking about a lineup that, again, you could have one of the best free throw shooting teams in the country again.
Yeah, you mentioned a good point yesterday. With that 80% free throw shooting rate, he was only averaging about 1 to 2 free throws per game. But he had a 30-point game last year where he was 8 of 18 from the floor, hit 5 3-pointers, I believe, and he was 9 from 9 from the stripe. So you see that possibly as his potential of what he could do. He can have that scoring night. But also, I think the big plus for this is his 6'5" frame, 200 pounds, the wingspan. He can play defense alongside Max Asmus and Tyrese Hunter. And he's going to be that Jabari Rice type role. I mean, a lot of it was made about Rice's ability to shoot and score and the pump fake, but he played really good defense as well.
Outstanding defense, yeah. And Marcus Carr became as his career at Texas went on, became a much better on-ball defender than he was when he got to Texas. You had three dogs. I mean, when those guys were locked in, you find me a better defensive backcourt in college basketball last year than Rice, Carr, and Hunter. Because when Tyrese Hunter's locked in, there aren't very many better on-ball defenders in the country than Tyrese Hunter. And that's when you think about the teams that when Rodney Terry was in his first stint at Texas under Rick Barnes, you think about the better teams Rick Barnes had. They had dudes that were just straight up Dobermans on the perimeter and could really, really get up in you and get after you. You think about, a Royale Ivy, Brandon Mouton was that type of guy. Even go forward, a Doge Balbe, a Boobie Gibson could even give you some of that at times. So they obviously Avery Bradley, who's been one of the better guys guarding at that position in the NBA for over a decade now. So that's the kind of the heart of what, and when I think of Rodney Terry basketball and I think of what, if you want to borrow something from Rick Barnes, I think that's the main thing he wants to borrow from Rick Barnes. Can you get, and we've heard him use this term a lot, Cam, can guys just get down and are they willing to guard people? Are they willing to stop the ball? And when Texas was really good last year, they were able to do that. And I think they've got a really good chance to do that this year with Ethiel Horton, with Tyrese Hunter, with Max Asmus, and then whatever minutes Kendall Weaver or Chris Johnson are going to give. Chris Johnson is a thicker bodied guard. I know Kendall Weaver's a little bit slight of frame, but we saw Kendall Weaver get after it and play defense at UT Arlington last year. So really, really like this backcourt. The front court, it speaks for itself with Dessou and Mitchell coming back. You add Caden Shedrick. You've got Brock Cunningham still around. Alex Anamekwe played a little bit last year, probably figures to play a little bit more this year. And then you've got Zarek Onyema, who I've said this, Cam, when they started recruiting him, I like him for the Christian Bishop role. That role of a 6'7", 6'8", bench guy who can play, be a functional 5 for you, can guard multiple positions in the front court. But a dude that's just going to give you energy. He's going to give you effort. He's going to rebound his tail end off. And he's a guy that if the opportunity presents itself, you can throw him a lob, he can finish it, and he can play well around the rim. So when you look at that, the bottom line is, with the addition of Horton, this staff, I think, did as good a job as anybody could have expected them to do of going 1-for-1 replacing the pieces they lost from last